work for me. It feels so good. The
Hey,
warmth
Omega.
of his fur has pulled
Yes,
to the
sir.
side of my waist. He is in total control.
So,
I'm just nothing compared
would
to
you
his
think
vast
that,
size and strength.
you know, a major organization
I know he won't hurt me.
who is looking into an instance where one of its key individuals is actually,
Feeling myself nearing the
accused of some serious heinous crime, don't you think that they would go to the place where the evidence was, evidence was taken, like a video camera? Would they go to the place and ask them about it?
That my body's releasing so many
Seems
endorphins, I would
feasible.
be begging, probably be screaming at me.
So,
Except I am panting and whining.
I don't know if you've heard about Ray Rice, but he's been in the news lately.
His claws digging deeper.
He knocked out his wife, basically, and he's been released and suspended from the NFL indefinitely.
I let out a short I feel my cock explode, covering his chest fur in my skin.
I don't know about you,
I keep stroking,
but
I'm trying to rip the cock out.
if you have watched WWE at all in the past 15 years, you know that there's another camera angle, and you know that there's another video out there that proves a certain point one way or another. Come on, man.
Even harder now.
Let's start the show.
Onto his cock. I feel his grumble turn into a...
I hit the theme. Am I hitting the theme? It looks like it. Alright, here we go. Hello everybody, and welcome to episode number 133 of Wooo Good Series. My name is Gunnar, and that is Omega PR.
Well, at least he can get an endorsement deal for Ray Rice-A-Roni, the
I'm doing him
Atlantic City treat. On shelves next to Ray Lewis, double murder homicide.
Yo man, who beat those charges? You got away from that.
It'll be right down the street from the Mr. Vic's Puppy Emporium.
Clearly, it's Vic's puppy rub. And rub harder and harder, and, Anybody still listening?
Yeah. So, Gunner apparently has abandoned us because he doesn't love us anymore. So, fuck him, we're going to do something completely different that we've never done before. And we're going to start with the news. So, regarding Brock Lesnar as World Heavyweight Champion, WWE retains the right to use him on TV or pay-per-view when they feel they need him, but on a pro-rate basis. The current Bella Twins split was something Total TV producers wanted for Season 3, and they'll likely be back together by its end. Brie Bella said in a media interview that Daniel Bryan will not undergo a second surgery, and WWE officials are hoping for his return 3 months from now. Batista's people in Hollywood reportedly don't want him back to pro wrestling, feeling he didn't get what he was promised, and he can make a lot more after the success of Guardians of the Galaxy, slated for its sequel and the third Avengers movie. Alberto El Patron apparently did manage to get his U.S. non-complete Pete thrown out, and will team with La Parka and the former Sin Cara at Ring and Rockstars 3 this Sunday.
So basically, they have Lesnar locked in, which is good. They just have to pay him more whenever they decide they need him, which, I don't see them actually having him on every pay-per-view, every month, all that good stuff. But it's important to note that he won't necessarily be gone for months and months at a time, since they did decide to make him champion and everything. And like we said before...
You mean like that one guy that came back, and he won the title, and then he wasn't on Raw for 5 or 6 straight episodes?
Yeah. Of course, like we said, there are
but he was on. What are you talking about? He was totally on. By satellite?
You have to be physically there for it to count.
I know.
Or, you know what? I'll amend that. I will count it if it's a pre-taped backstage type thing that gives the impression that he's in the building. But live via satellite, no, that's bullshit.
I just think that it's very nice to have Brock, around and people having him there, basically, so that he can actually defend his titles, so that we can't sit here and say, well, we're all going to see him on the pay-per-view. God forbid. So.
I would say, from a legal standpoint, WWE has a lot of things going on. The CM Punk thing, they probably did stop sending him checks because he kind of walked out on them. They feel he's in breach of contract, and, if they've kind of been, both sides have kind of been silent as far as what that situation is, but if Punk is going to sue for one thing, well, he hasn't filed a lawsuit yet, but if he's going to kind of send them a legal letter, and plus the fact, now I don't know if this is due to the letter, but WWE recently moved all of his stuff on www.shop.com to the alumni section, and actually deeply discounted it. In fact, you could get the Best in the World Blu-ray DVD for only $2.99.
Oh shit, that's a slap in the face.
I'm gonna go pick some Punk stuff up. I'll be right back.
Well, there's not much left at this point, but,
But at the end of the day, we're sitting here and we're talking about Punk, basically, and what we haven't really mentioned here is the most important angle of all time. This is the angle of the decade, and I don't know why you guys aren't even discussing it at all. Excuse me. The Bella Twins split. Come on. It's the most dramatic thing in the world. They went out Jerry Springer last night.
I was hoping for a second you'd be talking about the fact that there's a rumored Punk AJ sex tape, but no, you had to bring up the Bellas, didn't you?
Oh, of course. It's so important. It's quite possibly one of the most important things in the entire history of wrestling.
Well, I think the reason we skipped over that is we're a little out of sorts since you forgot to introduce us all.
Oh, well, there's that. That's Omega BR. I already said that. And joining us this week is our wonderful technical producer, Mr. Gang of DDS.
I tend to piss a lot of people off.
And all of them are Gunner.
Yep, pretty much. And also joining us this week is that Jester.
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Jesus Christ. Okay, so, yes, but the Bella Twins is important.
I can't wait for this to be over. It's not important. It's dumb.
Well, at least it's happening now at WrestleMania.
Oh, it's going to go to WrestleMania.
But hell no.
They're going to drag this out so far and so unnecessarily.
No, it'll be done. We don't got to worry about it too much.
I hope so. The other thing is Batista. People in Hollywood want him back. I didn't think he was all that great. Don't get me wrong, he wasn't bad, but given what his character was, it wasn't anything all that fantastic. Guardians wasn't living and dying by Dave Batista.
This is true. However, Batista did bring, in a couple of different scenes there, a little bit of, hey, that surprised me, at least from Dave Batista, who we've never really seen, stretch his acting chops before. This was something new for him. This was something good. This was something surprising.
Well, I mean, obviously you've never seen that Rob Van Dam movie, where you would know just how great an actor Batista really is.
Oh, that was so good.
I watched Black Mass too.
Something like that. I have no idea. But anyways, since I didn't get to read the news, I'm going to do something unexpected, and that's read the second news bit. Dixie Carter. Oh, God, our favorite person in the whole world. Dixie Carter suffered 2 fractures of the back and fractured rib as a result of being put through the table by Bully Ray, and could miss the long flight to Bound for Glory in Japan if she isn't healed in time. TNA wanted to run another event possibly in Gifu, but they're putting live events on hold to focus on TV. Ryota Hama, a 450-pound retired sumo wrestler, will apparently have a match. And Bobby Lashley managed to submit Josh Burns in his Bellator debut, and the word is he might have been stripped of the world title had he not done well. Well, thank God for that Bobby Lashley actually punched a tomato can.
So I didn't see this MMA match. Was it decent? Was this Josh Burns guy just MMA jobber? What was that all about?
He was probably a jobber.
Okay.
I haven't looked up the fight yet. I haven't even bothered to watch anything that isn't, Bellator. Anything that's Bellator, I don't watch anything unless it's probably Ronda Rousey or one of the larger UFC fights that really grab my attention. Otherwise, I'm just not interested that much.
So, I hate to do this, but since it's tangentially related to wrestling, did anybody see the night that MMA got a black eye, and that was on the last Bellator thing on Spike that Lashley fought at? They also had a very bad promo cut by Stephen Bonner and Tito Ortiz with their upcoming match that turned into a schmaz pull-apart that was so incredibly bad.
I haven't seen that net yet, no.
These guys, they need Paul Heyman. How much better would, even Brock in UFC, how much better would Brock in UFC have been if he would have had Paul Heyman?
But that's the problem with UFC, dude. I mean, they try to sell a fight and they try to sell, themselves, but they do a terrible job of it. And the only person that really can sell them there isn't a Don King of UFC. It's that the characters are the fighters themselves, and the way they present themselves is exactly the same as every other fighter.
Right.
You could argue it's kind of Dana White, but
a little
But
bit.
Dana White is like Dana White. Okay, if Dana White was comparable to anybody, it'd be like Captain Lou Albano, and he'd have like 4 or even Bobby the Brain Heenan, and he'd have like 4 or 5 tag teams. Basically, it's not 4 or 5 tag teams; it's the whole freaking league where they're facing off against each other. I mean, it'd be like Dungeon of Doom against Dungeon of Doom. Only, this is the Dungeon of the Octagon versus the Dungeon of the Octagon. I mean, that's really what UFC is. It's a wrestling stable that fights among itself. That's pretty much it.
Well, back to TNA itself. As you know, it will be filmed in Japan and then aired some, 16 hours later in the evening here in America. And they might, to save costs, actually have Taz and Tenay dub over the audio once they get it at the TNA office rather than have them do it there live.
That's... wow. Really?
That's something, and it's not something good.
You're going to hold an event and not bring your 2 announcers just to save on a couple of plane tickets.
That's actually a good call.
Really?
Yes, I mean, obviously you can't do it. I mean, whatchamacallit, ECW was taped without an announcer, like in the earlier days, and it was just fine. I mean, Joey Styles did a perfectly fine job, and they sometimes do this kind of stuff, when they dub over commentary later on for like things that are taped, like SmackDown or whatnot. They'll do it again. They'll do it again in a studio to be able to get it right. So I'm not terribly surprised that this is a thing.
It just seems like if they wanted to save money, there's probably some dead weight they could cut. And also, I find it kind of funny that they've decided to concentrate on TV now.
Wouldn't it be funny if Dixie Carter didn't make it to the taping?
And it was just all that much better for it. I'm going to go ahead and finish your sentence there.
Alright, you should. And someone should read this next news report.
Remains to be seen how Bound for Glory will go. It's a very unique situation. However, speaking of,
seeing how it goes.
Yeah. Apparently, Figure 4 Online reports that WWE has confirmed that SmackDown will actually remain on Fridays for the time being, after Sci-Fi released their fall schedule, and SmackDown was still on Friday. In a correction, once again, VP of Merchandise and Operations Ellen Rebhun was actually let go for primarily financial reasons, and the concessions company he hired for WrestleMania did not go bankrupt, although someone involved with it was responsible for the bankruptcy of another company. And although a small amount of money was unaccounted for, it was said not to be a major deal, and they actually did more merchandise sales than any other WrestleMania except for one. It appears that WWE is no longer associated with Tout after investing $5,000 for a 2-year partnership 2 years ago, and the Tout logo on the Raw marquees / nameplates has been replaced with an Instagram one. Also, CM Punk's lawyers sent a 22-page letter to WWE over royalties, mainly his likeness in WWE 2K15, and it's believed that they stopped sending him checks due to breach of contract.
Okay, again, something tangentially related. We've already had Ray Rice having officially being taken out of Madden. 2K Sports said that they were going to do that. So, any chance that because of this lawsuit, WWE could take Punk out of 2K15?
No. First off, they didn't take Ray Rice. 2K didn't take Ray Rice out of Madden 2015, considering that they don't publish Madden 2015. That is which would be EA. So EA was the one to take them out. However, what the theory is that there will be a CM Punk DLC, and they could regulate them to just DLC.
It'll be on disc DLC, which everyone knows is absolutely bullshit.
Well.
Yep, that's basically the problem. So there you go.
I might have forgotten that we didn't talk about CM Punk in the first news bit when I was talking earlier about how, they probably stopped sending him royalties. They think he's in breach, and two sides have been, quiet on each other.
I could kind of see that on their part, where he just, walks away and just quits, like he did. I could definitely see where they would claim he was in breach of contract. I'm not sure that they wouldn't take. Well, I guess no, they wouldn't take him to court on that. But I mean, he doesn't have a strong case for anything. Seeing as how he did just, leave the company with no notice.
Yeah, you would think he wouldn't have a leg to stand on in that respect, but stranger things have happened in the courts, You'd think signing a contract with a non-compete, and then, those keep getting overturned, so.
Well, here's the other thing, is he may retain he may have retained the rights to his likeness in his contract. That may have been one of the things, him still owning the CM Punk name, and we don't know that. So if that's the case, then they would still have to pay him for any use of his likeness and the name CM Punk, because he would own those trademarks. So we'll have to just wait and see what happens with that. But I think the most important thing in this news bit is no more tout. I know. I was absolutely just flabbergasted that this would happen.
They plugged the network more than they've ever plugged tout.
I thought for sure that tout was going to be the next, like, Facebook.
Oh yeah, we had a tout. We had a guy on tout and talking about stuff, representing us, and tout, and well.
Okay, even I'm not going to throw WWE under the bus for this one. I mean, yeah, sure, they want these things to happen, and they buy these things, and they push it a little bit, but when they don't get the instant returns, they just throw them away. So this is pretty much par for the course. We knew this would happen, and it's just sad that nobody in WWE saw this coming.
Well, I certainly don't fault them for wanting to try and get in on one of these early, with the kind of money that they bring. I mean, you just have to look at, what, not just Facebook or Twitter, but I mean, Vine, Instagram. These are, small apps and companies that are being started up and then being bought for hundreds of millions and even over $1 billion. Facebook just bought the Oculus Rift for, I think it was $1 billion. Why? I don't blame them for wanting to get in early. I just think they might have backed the wrong horse, and that's just one of the things that happens when you're trying to get into that kind of venture capitalism.
It wasn't a bad move, it was just that we as wrestling fans got annoyed that they were pushing it so heavily when it was clear that nobody else was really using it.
Exactly. And it's a thing that's been over with and done for a long time now, and I don't understand why they even thought that would be a good idea.
Well, they kind of screwed up, because they pushed it hard, but they didn't push it the right way. There should have been more wrestler exclusive things on tout, more interviews and like the funny videos that they do on Vine now. The wrestlers those should have been on tout, and they should have been pushing that. But instead, they were just like, "Here's a couple things we did," and then they just kind of were like, "I'm bored with this now," and then they just left it, and that's it.
Alright, let's get in here with the last bit of news here. The Rock confirmed he will play Black Adam in the new Shazam movie, which is the main antagonist. Jim Ross and Chael Sonnen will call the Battleground MMA pay-per-view on October 3rd from Tulsa. So get ready for some Battleground MMA with two of the best play-by-play people ever.
And some slobber knocking.
Oh yeah, Batista said on Talk is Jericho that the Deacon Batista gimmick was originally going to be a product of rape and angry that he had no father. That's amazing. Not surprising for that particular time period, when it was the same time period of Katie Vick and the Billy and Chuck wedding, which quite possibly is one of my favorite SmackDown moments of all time. Triple H revealed on the same podcast that his original WWF name was going to be Reginald DuPont Helmsley. Ready to get that Detroit pop there, bro.
Yeah, Vince is a little bit too much, and I mean, that's big business. I know that's where he wants to be. He sort of aspires to be there, or if he's not there already, but still, wow.
Oh, it shows you how much things have changed.
Whatchamacallit. Yeah, I mean, it's not terribly surprising with what's going on, and The Rock playing as Black Adam should be fun, because that'll be a main antagonist in a big Marvel movie, and we're not going to see any more, apparently, we're not going to see another Iron Man movie for a while, and the only real familiar one is going to be the third Thor movie, and a third and a fourth Avengers movie. So, pay attention for that in the next couple of years. Anyway,
but Ant-Man. There's going to be an Ant-Man movie.
Well, Ant-Man 2. We don't know these people, but, it's going to be a real dark period for the next couple of years. Here we go. Alright, segment 2. Here we go. 15-minute time limit. Yeah. This week on the 15-minute time limit, we are going to be speaking about the independent scene, actually. We haven't spent our time talking about the lower indie feds for a while, and so we decided this week to update you on some stuff that's been going on in the particular indie feds. This week we are going to be focusing on ROH, Lucha Underground, and Chikara. So, we're going to start here with ROH talk. There are many rumors swirling over Michael Elgin losing the ROH World Championship to Jay Briscoe over the weekend, which was said to be a last-minute thing. Elgin was stopped at the border and cannot return to the U.S. for 90 days due to his work visa expiring. Officials were apparently upset with him losing on the independent scene, notably to Trevor Lee in PWG, and possibly for saying that he would like to try out for Major League Baseball next year. There was said to be more heat on ROH management for lack of communication regarding the visa. Matt Sydal, the former Evan Bourne, will return to ROH on September 27th for TV taping and reeling that will also include an Honor Rumble. Okay, so and there's a few other things I'd like to mention. Elgin. Elgin specifically went off on Twitter saying that he wasn't going to leave ROH, that he loves ROH, and they treated him right, but his work visa problems were problems, and he just wanted to see if he could, make an MLB team. Good for him, and there's another person returning to ROH soon, and I believe it is Trevor Lee that we had been talking about here previously in this segment. So,
yeah, I don't think they were ever necessarily impressed with Elgin as champion. I think he was a little more underwhelming compared to people like Briscoe. Frankly, I think he's one of those people that I think. He's a great talent, but at the same time, he's a little high maintenance, and it's not necessarily all his fault. But with the work visa thing, that could be said that that's on both of them. It should have been, Elgin's personal responsibility, of course, but also Ring of Honor should have had better tabs on it, considering, he is one of their talents and one of the top talents, the champion even. We've mentioned before on the show the problems they feel like Ring of Honor management is a little harder to communicate with these days. Like, you're supposed to talk to Hunter Johnson, who then talks to the upper brass, and instead of going directly to them with issues. And, Ring of Honor is in kind of a holding period right now, in the sense that, a lot of their stronger talents, and this is true of other promotions too, but a lot of their stronger talents are elsewhere. People getting picked up by WWE and such. So they try to find an identity that keeps them, strong and relevant and everything. And obviously their teaming with New Japan earlier in the year was a big part of that. But with Jay Briscoe back in the title scene, I'm not quite sure what the story's going to be. What the aim will be. Elgin might get his rematch. In the past they've had things like the whole Kevin Steen saga and all that, so they're kind of, but speaking of which, Steen in WWE now, so, they kind of have to revitalize, keep themselves in the news, so to speak.
Now, earlier in the year, I would have said that ROH has gotten really stale. I have turned myself off to the product, to be honest, and I haven't really been paying attention to it terribly much. But ever since the G1 and the ROH people being over there, I had. I've been trying to pay attention a little bit more. Isn't Elgin a ROH guy? Like, he's like the ROH guy?
Yeah, more or less. I mean, he's one of those people that I don't necessarily think... It's not that he couldn't get work elsewhere, but, Ring of Honor is what he's known for, basically,
Yeah, so, I mean, this is kind of surprising that he's not able to do what he needs to do, that he was a disappointing champion, you know what I'm saying? I mean, there's a lot of ROH guys that we know that are, successful elsewhere, but, I mean, I'm just surprised that he is a disappointing champion, and I'm not surprised that Briscoe won the ROH championship again.
Well, frankly, I'd put that more on management, not because it's all their fault or anything, but simply because I think, if they're going to take the chance on Elgin, they need to really embrace him. I don't know if they really did. I think at some point they kind of figured, well, he's not quite doing what we kind of wanted, and you know how wrestling is. If management for whatever reason just doesn't feel a particular person, even if the fans do, then they aren't necessarily going to be as successful, reach as potential as they could.
Right. Do you guys have anything else to say? Have you been paying attention to ROH at all?
Nope, and NetJester's eating dinner.
Alright. Lucha Underground, Mark Cautious, Big Zeke, Maxine, Ricky Reyes, who's fucking awesome, by the way, B-Boy, Sexy Star, Drago, Blue Demon Jr., John Morrison, Ricochet, and Ivelisse Velez are some of the names that appeared. Matt Stryker and Vampiro were on commentary, Matt doing lead and Vampiro doing color. The Seidals, the Young Bucks, and the Kazarian all turned down deals, and there was concern over exclusivity and low pay. Some were offered $750, while other top talents were only offered $200. Chavo Guerrero will work in a backstage role, and Chris Big Dick Johnson, DeJoseph, is working production. So, Lucha Underground sounds like an interesting product, much like, what was it? Not Ringa King, but the other Lucha project that was put on by AAA. What am I thinking of?
I can't recall the name off the top of my head.
Lucha Libre USA.
Yeah, that might. Yeah. And the thing is, this has gone through a lot of different changes. It's supposed to be kind of a Lucha thing, and now it's become sort of like a proto Wrestling Society X, where they get whatever American talents they can, and a handful of AAA talents like Sexy Star and Blue Demon Jr. But there was a lot of kind of apprehension about this thing, because they really wanted to... just the logistics of it in terms of the deals just didn't work, because they wanted people to sign and be exclusive to them, get their permission to do other things, and they just didn't... that obviously most indie talents aren't going to do that, and they did kind of relax on that, which is why so many talents did appear at the taping. Some were signed, some weren't. I like to think of it as basically a kind of thing that if you don't have anything better to do, really, then you're probably going to sign like no offense to these people, but like a Maxine or a Matt Stryker. Whereas if you're more of a notable name like the Young Bucks, obviously you're not going to sign an exclusive deal to them. So. But apparently, reports from the taping is that the show was overall pretty decent. Obviously, the wrestling is what matters, and it was probably pretty good.
I mean, for the people that they're talking about here, it's a few WWE rejects, it's some indie darlings, and a couple Lucha Libre people. And with Matt Stryker on commentary with Vampiro, this sounds like a fucking cult classic.
Yeah, I mean, like Wrestling Society X, it wasn't the most amazing thing, but it was fun to watch, and, of course, it didn't last very long, and that's kind of what I feel like this is going to happen.
Definitely.
Alright, so, why don't we talk about Chikara? The big one is back. The King of Trios is happening in about a week and a half, and all 16 trios have been announced. There's been some, not necessarily criticism, but disappointment, if you will, over the trios. It's mostly in-house teams this time around. I think about 13 of the 16 are mostly Chikara relatives. You've got Dr. Cube and Thunder Kitty in the mix, but the standouts, of course, would really be the Spirit Squad, LAX, and Team UK.
I'm actually really happy that they've simmered down a bit and brought it back down to their roots and not necessarily dragged in, teams from Japan, teams from Mexico, and all of this other stuff. It seems to me that Chikara really overextended itself last time, that it was really a thing, and which people are saying it caused the demise of Chikara, which really isn't a demise. It's just a, hey, we kind of fell in on our own weight because we became such a big thing that we really needed to, take a step back and redo ourselves. And which they have. And they've done a really good job of it. And they've done a really good job of, moderate and normal growth. I could see them getting back to the level that they were at 2 years ago in 2 years and be, basically the indie darling of the United States, where everyone goes and everyone loves it, and it should have its own television programming. But what I'm really looking forward to with the King of Trios is LAX, Chavo Guerrero, Homicide, and Hernandez. That should be a real fun team to watch in a Chikara environment.
Yeah. It felt like they had always kind of been, despite their success, had always kind of been toting the line, and it eventually did catch up with them, financially, that is, with that year hiatus. And of course, if this is going to be the year where they have mostly their own people to help build them back into that scenario, then so be it. That said, they did bring back the Ray Day Voladores tournament, 2 4-man matches, the winners of which face each other in the final. And so far we got Tigre Uno in that match. Also, they announced that Yoshitatsu would actually be on the show, facing smooth sailing Ashley Remington on night 2. So it appears, they're kind of, if most of the trios are, sort of in-house people, they are still making an effort to bring in people who would be notable, not necessarily from Japan and Mexico and the UK and all that, but as far as, names wrestling fans can recognize and get excited about, and, I would still love to go. If it was more convenient, if it wasn't, 500 miles of driving, then I would probably still go, but,
It's, I'm looking forward to watching it. Do you know if it's going to be iPay-per-view or not?
It's not, and I believe that mostly has to do with, all the different talents and who can appear on broadcasts and who can't. But the DVDs are always the highest sellers on Smart Mark Video, so it should be enjoyable to watch. You're right.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to, this is, technically speaking, I understand that they had their big re-debut in the world of professional wrestling, but honestly, this is where they're re-debuting. This is the point in the conversation where we say, well, Chikara, you've been gone, and you've been doing this naughty little, storyline that you've been trying to do for a year. Oh, there we go with the buzzer. Alright, so
right. This is where they showcase the talent.
Exactly.
Stop talking.
Oh, I got back just in time for Chikara to be naughty.
Yeah. Alright, so let's, I'm hungry. Are you guys hungry?
I could eat.
I want some ice. Ice cream.
What goes good with spaghetti? Ice cream.
In no planet ever. Yeah. Okay. Let's go with the
Dairy Queen. Drive-through.
Whoa, a little chorus effect there.
I know, right? I mean, it's like we had the same idea. All right,
I'll read the ratings.
All right, you read the ratings.
All right, so I want them read right. So here we go. Wednesday's Impact did a .88 or .9 cable rating, which is up from the .79 the show did last week. The show did 1.09 million viewers, which is also up from last week's 928,000 viewers. This is the show's third week on Wednesday nights. SmackDown did an average of 2,758,000 viewers, which is up slightly from the previous week, which drew 2.73 million. The show did a 2.02 television compared to last week's 1.95. This week's Raw drew a final 2.88 cable rating with an average audience of 3.99 million viewers. The first hour drew 3.98 million, the second drew 4.16 million, and the third drew 3.82 million. This is up from last week's 2.81 cable rating with 3.93 million viewers. The return of Monday Night Football on ESPN dominated the night with 13.73 and 11.52 million viewers. So hard to compete with that.
It's really hard to compete with basically what is the true American pastime at this point, which is the NFL. The highest rated sports broadcast thing ever, basically. And they did. Then Raw went up against a doubleheader of football games. One was actually a decent one, which was in an East Coast market. The other one, not so much, but it was a good game. So they were, so basically they were up against two very strong showings from the NFL, and you can see how much more popular the NFL is as compared to Raw or SmackDown or something right now. I mean, and that's not to say that it's a bad thing. It's just knowing where wrestling is in the spectrum of entertainment, essentially.
Before we continue, it's sort of like that made-up internet fight. Who would win? 100 Brock Lesnar's versus 10 Silverback Gorillas? Something like that?
I don't have money on 100 Brock Lesnar's. You might need 1,000 Silverback Gorillas to actually defeat them. But it's neither here nor there. I'd just like to point one more thing out with the Impact. People have found Impact again. Go figure.
Yeah. I'm not sure why they bothered.
It only took the fact of television cancellation.
Alright, Jester, birthdays.
And happy birthday, person, placer, thing. On the 9th, we have Is this another made-up name?
No.
Intoctable. Intocable? Oh my god. I guess he's Rob Van Dam's favorite. Anyway, on the 10th, we have Mrs. Peyton Banks, otherwise known as Rain, the legendary superstar Billy Graham, excuse me, Steve Kern, otherwise known as Skinner, the Blueprint, Matt Morgan, none other than the legendary, the original, The Rock, Don Morocco, Yamato, and the psycho shooter, Drake Younger. Then on the 11th, we have Sojourner Bolt. Did I get that right?
Sojourner?
No, he was right. He actually got it right.
Oh, did they pronounce it Sojourner? Okay, good job, Manchester. See, that's what you do. You sound it out.
Amazing, but true.
Good job, buddy.
Except there's no L in there, so anyway. Moving right along, we also have on the 11th, Hallow Wicked, and none other than the man who is the one before the 21-1, Polly Dangerously Heyman. And on the 12th, we have Sal Rutero, and Road Warrior Animal, and the Shocker, and Jailhouse Ray Pist. Is that right? P-I-S-T?
Yes. Yes.
Anyway, I have to watch my back with these people. It's just a sad truth. On the 13th, we have Shane Harrigan and Angel.
Shane Hagedorn!
Hagedorn.
This is why I wanted to read birthdays.
Sort of like Michael Dorn. Otherwise, anyway, we'll move along. On the 14th, we have gorgeous Gino Hernandez. Then Satoshi Kojima. There we go. And then we have Jenny L.I. Hart Hard Exome. Is that right?
Sound it out. Try it again.
Hard X on me. Oh. Yes, I think we found our fake name.
Well,
anyway.
no, because you very plainly just read right through Jailhouse Rapist like it was nothing as well.
Really? God, how do you
Jailhouse?
How do you have Jenny I Hart? How do you come up with Jailhouse?
Just get through the rest of them. Get through the rest of them.
Moving right along. On the 15th, we have it just disappeared. The 15th just disappeared.
No, it's still there.
It's still there.
There it is. On the 15th, we have adorable Adrian Adonis, the legendary one. None other than the best manager of SmackDown, Theodore R. Long. Japanese wrestler Genki Horiguchi, I believe. And then Rhett Titus and Eric Chen.
And now it is time for This Week in Wrestling with Omega BR.
Yes, this week in wrestling history. It's like a 1980 where the Samoans defeat Tony Guerra and Rene Goulet in a tournament final for the WWF World Tag Team title in Allentown, Pennsylvania, starting their second run. The titles had been vacated when Pedro Morales and Bob Backlund defeated the Samoans, but Backlund was unable to defend the belts due to being the WWF World Heavyweight Champion at the time. Jump to 1982 where Sergeant Slaughter and Don Carnoodle defeat Giant Baba and Antonio Inoki in a tournament final for the NWA World Tag Team title. Well, not really, as this was totally fictitious. Baba and Inoki weren't even a tag team at the time. This was simply the NWA's way of putting the title on Slaughter and Carnoodle after previous tag team champions, Ole Anderson and Stan Hansen, split up. And in 1997, the WCW held the Fall Brawl pay-per-view from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, where Eddie Guerrero defeated Chris Jericho to win the Cruiserweight title in the opening bout. And the NWO defeated the Four Horsemen in the main event in a War Games match after Kurt Hennig turned on the Horsemen, faking an attack by the NWO so he could enter the match last, handcuffing his teammates to the cage, while the NWO continued to slam Flair's head against the cage door until McMichael submitted for his team to get them to stop. That was This Week in Wrestling History.
Oh, WCW. Happy Trails. Happy Trails to Jake Roberts, who's now out of the ICU and hoping to leave the hospital soon, off the respirator and speaking sooner than expected. Yay for Jake. And happy trails to the city of Chicago, as WWE announced that the Payback pay-per-view will move to Baltimore in 2015. Okay, guys,
is that Payback for Punk?
Probably. What to watch this week in wrestling? Matt Jester.
Okay. I will quickly, once again, grab something off of my DVD shelf, which is practically right next to me. And I know I did this last week, but I'll do it again since it's a damn good DVD. The ECW Bloodsport, the most violent matches of ECW. I've got one in particular that's pretty good and pretty, soaked in blood. And if I can remember, I believe it's the one... Oh yeah, here's a good one. Four Corners match for the ECW television title. At Heatwave 1996, it was Shane Douglas versus Chris Jericho versus Too Cold Scorpio versus Pitbull number 2. Uh-oh, something important happened. Row.
So Happy Trails isn't over. This is a very somber Happy Trails. And Scotty Riggs is claiming on Twitter at the moment that Sean O'Hare has passed away.
Oh, really? Damn.
This is just something that's come out in the past 30 minutes, as the show has been live. Scotty Riggs on it, real Scotty Riggs is confirming the story.
That's unfortunate.
Yes, it is.
Any other details besides that right now?
None that I have currently, but that's something that I've been paying attention to. Okay, with that in mind, Jacob, what you watch this week in wrestling?
Well, I'm gonna have to go with that cage match last night. Jericho and Wyatt just tore the house down. And actually, damn it, I already said a match, so I can't change it now, can I?
Nope.
Okay, well, you know which one I was going to change it to, and I bet either you or
I'm going to say it.
it was on the same show. Yeah, I didn't think anything was going to top that cage match last night until the match that I just realized I forgot about for a second.
I'm gonna. I'll watch it in a minute. But Omega, what you watch this week in
Of
wrestling?
course, the NXT tag team match. If you want people to not watch football, announce that match ahead of time. Don't. You know what I mean? Honestly, I think somebody said during the 15-minute window between the two NFL games last night, WWE decided to put on the end of the Bellas segment and the Adam Rose squash match, which, really doesn't make any sense. But yeah, NXT, and plus NXT TakeOver 2 is this Thursday, live on the WWE Network for only $9.99, and you should definitely check that out as well.
How much is it?
I believe, I think we're in line for some more NXT debuts on the main roster. In fact, I think the Ascension, I heard, were actually on the road this week.
Oh, they were.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to Kenta's debut at the NXT pay-per-view on Thursday, and I believe Devitt is coming soon as well. I'm going to suggest John Cena versus CM Punk from Raw last year in February. The winner faces The Rock at WrestleMania.
We shall never see a match that's like again.
It was a really good match that lasted for like half an hour, if you remember. Anyone, Bueller.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention to you.
Bueller remembers somewhere.
I see. All right, so that's it for this week. Thank you all for listening. You can check us out at smarksnark.com. You can also check us out on our YouTube page, youtube.com/smarksnark. You can check out our podcasts there. We're on Spreaker, spreaker.com/smarksnark every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. We try to be as punctual as possible, but sometimes we have technical difficulties, and Yango decides to screw things up.
I have never decided to screw anything up.
I'm sure. And we also have facebook.com/smarksnark, and twitter.com/smarksnark. You can follow us there on Mondays and Sundays. We got Tumblr too.
Yeah.
smarksnark.tumblr.com. Yes?
Yeah. YouTube, Tumblr, Facebook. I don't think we have an Instagram. We don't really need one, though.
We don't need one, though. Yeah.
Right.
Alright, guys. Thank you very much for listening.
Can I do it this week? I have an idea for a new one.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We're glad to have you, and we wish you all the best in your past, present, and future endeavors.
Wait a minute! Did you just fire the audience?
No, I was being sincere. You don't like it?
That's good.
Well, instead of... I was just going to say the obvious. You're fired! But, yeah.
Okay, this entire thing is really confusing.
Good night, Baltimore.